What's going on, all my fellow nerds and geeks? Before I get into this very cool episode, something I'm pretty excited that they made, I have a nerding tip for you. As you can see, I've got all the pictures and all this stuff back here on display. These are all held up with double-sided foam tape. Last night we were sleeping and we heard a loud noise in here and we couldn't figure out what it was. We couldn't figure out where it was coming from. When I first put all this stuff up on the wall, I used this putty stuff. And it's supposed to be like a safe putty for your wall, which it is. It is very safe. It does not hold even the 8x10s up, which I found out this morning when I woke up where the sound came from, because I had a couple of my 8x10 pictures on the side of the wall were off. And they were laying on the ground, and that's what made a loud noise last night. So, nerding tip, use double-sided foam tape. But if you use double-sided foam tape, remember that it is very, very sticky, and it takes paint off as well as some of the siding off when you take these off. Because when I moved these guys right here, it pulled some paint off. Luckily, I've got stuff covering the spots where the paint came off. But just a little tip for you, the putty stuff does not hold these things up very well with inside. They're just in that plastic cover, and even on the 8x10s will not. It might just be Washington because it's so damp here. I don't know. They were holding up well for a long time, and then they just started falling. We had some problem with them on the other side of the wall, but they were the bigger 11x17, so I figured it's just too heavy. But now I've discovered that even the 8x10s don't hold. So that's your little tip. Now we'll get into this video. I just had to share that. Yeah, so on this episode, they came out with something that very, very excited about when I saw it. I watched this show from the beginning till the end, and I'm actually in the middle of rewatching it. And it is the Smallville. And so I went ahead and picked the Smallville Pops up because I've been kind of putting it off, and oh, dang, I just realized that one of them is torn. Well, that stinks, but it's all right. So I went ahead and got them all. I've been wanting to get some Smallville Pops for a long time. I figure I might as well grab them while they're here, and I will start with the one that I least wanted, but I figured I would get it just because it is the one in the set. There are a few other characters that I don't think they're going to expand on this line. It's not selling quite as well as they thought it would. So I don't think we're going to get any more. But the first one I will start with is Lois Lane from Smallville. I'm actually kind of surprised that they didn't do Chloe, which was like kind of the main, his sidekick pretty much throughout the whole show. So Lois obviously is his love interest, always been Superman's love interest, so I knew they'd do Lois. But I thought they would do Chloe just because she was part of the show the whole time. So, yeah, just kind of a little shocked. I don't normally buy the whole set, but for this one I figure that it's probably not going to be around forever. I just have this weird feeling. So then another character I was kind of surprised to see them do, because they've done so many of the character, and that is Green Arrow. Though a very cool character in the show, and I love this character. This is actually the first Green Arrow Pop that I own, actually. I'm actually wearing the Arrow shirt. This was not planned. This just happened to be. But I do want to take him out because I want to see, because he looks really cool. And I would say I love the Arrow show. I like it. It's probably one of my least favorite of the DC TV universe. But I was always kind of a fan of this Arrow. And so there we go. They did some really good detail with this. You can actually see he's got his arrows on his back there. The paint is done really well. They did a really good job on this. And I figure, I don't have any other Green Arrows in my collection. I don't know why. I always was going to get some. I don't know. I just didn't get them. And then they started coming out more and more and more, and so I just never ended up picking any of them up. So that is the Green Arrow, which I really like that costume. I thought they did a really good job in the show with it. So then, of course, had to get the bad guy, and that is Lex Luthor. And I just realized as I pulled it out of the box that, you can't really see it, but there is a giant tear all the way down the side here. So it is what it is. It's just a common. I'm not too worried about it. I don't know that I'll ever take these out of the box. Very plain pop. It is just him in his white suit and one black glove. I don't know why he's only got one on, because it normally showed him with both of the white gloves. So, but that is the Lex Luthor, and I always, for some reason, and I've been watching Superman my entire life, and I've been Superman and wrestling, and I, for some reason, will always say Lex Luger, and that's the wrestler, not the guy. And so, yeah, that is my. It's just, I don't know. I just always do it. It's just one of those weird things. So then we have pretty much the first appearance of Clark Kent. And he's got the S on his chest, which is for Smallville High. This is right before they dump him out in the cornfield. Well, they didn't dump him out. They actually hung him as the Scarecrow. And they even went as far as to add in the detail of putting the necklace, putting Lana's necklace on him, which was made of kryptonite, so it made him very weak. So you can see here, he's got his little green kryptonite necklace on. So, and the S on his chest. They got him with his boots and his boxers, his scruffy hair. So this is the first time this is the first episode. This is how you see him. And it kind of gives you a glimpse of him with the S on his chest. So then you go from that one to the final appearance. And to be honest, I'll give you a little bit of a rant. I watched this show the entire 10 years it was out. And I waited 10 years to see him put on the Superman costume. At the time when they did the finale, the Superman Returns movie was out. It flopped. It was not very good. They ended up picking that Superman costume to put in the show. You see it in the first part of the show. You see it kind of behind his Fortress of Solitude, and you don't get to really see him in it until the last few minutes. And you see this pose right here, the famous, pulling Superman pose. And then he flies away, and you never really see a close-up picture of him in the costume. Now, me as a fan, I waited 10 years to see him don this costume. And I knew that it wouldn't be any time in the beginning. I knew it wouldn't be till the very end of the show when they were deciding to end it, because this is about him becoming Superman, not him being Superman. But I waited 10 years to see him as Superman. And this show did not get better with age. It got kind of stale and kind of boring, and it seemed like they were really grasping at straws. And I'm a huge fan of the show. I was, when it came out, I watched it. I was a huge fan. But like I said, it just kind of got towards the last couple seasons, and I'm rewatching right now, and I think I'm on the second to the last season. I might be on the last season. I can't remember. But I'm rewatching it again. And yeah, I waited 10 years for this pose and for him to be in the costume, and it only showed him from afar, and it was the last few minutes of the show. So it was very irritating, and I know it's like a nerd rant. It's a thing, and that was kind of a drama show anyways. But like I said, 10 years of waiting to get no payoff. Kind of a payoff, I guess. And then just recently, he had an interview where he talked about it. He was actually at the time the executive producer of the show. And so he said that he didn't want that to be part of the show. His show was about Clark Kent becoming Superman, but it was more about the Clark Kent side and his early start of being Superman. So I blame him for not getting to see him in the Superman costume. And I think it would have done just great if they had the first half of him talking about doing it, and then the final half, because it was a 2-hour season finale. and having the first hour just him kind of, figuring it out, and then the final hour actually let him fight and be in the costume would have made the ending of that show great. As of now, I am not looking forward to seeing the end of the season after I've rewatched the show, because I know it's going to happen. So, rant over. I know it's a nerdy thing to say, but I grew up watching that show. I grew up loving that show, and that's how it ended. So, yeah. But, as always, everyone, don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at NerdSmithing to get hints on upcoming videos or 3D printing I'm doing, that kind of stuff. And, as always, stay awesome.